Good morning, kids. Do you guys like waiting for things? I know it gets really hard when you want something or you're looking forward to something and you have to wait for a long time. If you lived a long time ago and you were an Israelite, you would have been waiting for a long time for something that God had promised. After Adam and Eve sinned, God promised that he would send the promised one who would crush the serpent or Satan under his heel. And every time someone was born, you might be wondering, are you the promised one? Are you the promised one? And God, during that time, sent signs and signs that this is what the promised one will look like. This is what the promised one will look like. This is what the promised one will look like. The blind will see, the deaf will hear, and the lame man will walk again. Lame means your legs don't work, and then you can walk again if you're healed. But that didn't really happen back then. And fast forward to John the Baptist. He was a cool dude. He ate bugs and honey. He was a pretty wild man. And he was one who had the privilege of baptizing Jesus. He prepared the way. He called people to repent and come back to God. And he saw the sky open up at Jesus' baptism and heard the voice of God say that this is his son in whom I'm well pleased. So you think John the Baptist must definitely know that Jesus is the promised one. Well, unfortunately for John the Baptist, he told the king that he was sinning. And the king did not like being told that he was sinning. So he put John the Baptist in prison. And while John the Baptist is in prison, he begins to wonder, I wonder, is Jesus really the promised one? We've been waiting for so long, and now I find myself in a bad spot. I mean, if he was the promised one, certainly he could just get me out, right? Well, he sends his friends. He sends his friends to go check with Jesus because he's stuck in prison. And this is what his friends go to Jesus and say. And when his men had come to him, they said, John the Baptist has sent us to you saying, are you the one to come, or shall we look for another? In that hour, Jesus healed many people of diseases, plagues, and evil spirits, and on many who were blind he bestowed sight. And he answered John's friends, and he said, go and tell John what you have seen and heard. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, and the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, and the dead are raised again, and the poor have the good news preached to them, and blessed is the one who is not offended by me. Can you imagine being John the Baptist and having your friends come back and tell you that? And then all of a sudden you might think, those are all the signs. Those are all the signs God said the promised one would have. And how encouraging that must be. And I think that was the best possible answer that Jesus could have sent to John. And how encouraging it must have been for him to know that Jesus really is the promised one. I'll see you guys next week.